Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 86 F's to Give podcast. I'm your host, Al, and if you're new here, 86 F's to Give is a reference to the food industry where in the kitchen, if they run out of something, they'll yell 86 chicken nuggets, and that means they're all out of chicken nuggets. So obviously here, if we are 86ing our F's to Give, it can be about literally anything, but for me, it's about what people think about me or what I think they think about me, and just continuing to go after my goals no matter what. But also in each episode, we are 86ing something new. So there's a few other episodes, 32 other episodes of things that we've 86'd, like imposter syndrome, gym anxiety, doing things alone, or like the fear of doing things alone. There's so many other ones. There's goal setting episodes, there's guest episodes. So go check it out if you are new here. If you are new, thank you for joining. I am pumped to have you here. And if you are one of my loyal listeners, you mean the world to me. So thank you all for joining. I also wanted to say that the merch deliveries have begun. So if you are somebody local to me, I will be hand delivering it to you sometime this week. And if you are in one of the other states, Florida, Nevada, or California, that needs to be shipped, I will ship it to you. And that's probably going to happen Saturday. So be on the lookout for my long distance peeps. I'm so excited. Thank you all for ordering them. It was so cool to open a box full of 10 sweatshirts that look like this. I'm wearing mine if you are watching. And it was like very surreal to have a bunch of people want to rep the podcast mindset and brand in their own little bubbles out in the world. So yes, means the world to me, truly. And then also, I just have to mention that one of our most favorite members of the podcast, Puda, will be mine for 2 years once this episode comes out. So Thursday the 8th is Puda's Gotcha Day. I've had him for 2 years and he has truly changed my life, and he's just the best. So if you've never met him, he's laying on the floor right under me, but you cannot see him in the camera, unfortunately. I'm sure he will join us up on the couch in a bit, but he is just the best, but also truly a menace. But he means well and we love him. So if you have not met Puda, you're missing out, but one day we will have to make that happen for you because like I said, he is hilarious and just the sweetest boy. Now that we've gotten all of our housekeeping items out of the way, we are going to dive into today's topic, which is 86, the fear of failure. And the sirens out there are preying on my downfall right now, if you can hear them. But yes, today we are 86ing the fear of flopping, the fear of failing, and it's going to be a big reframing episode. We're going to dive into some keywords in this area here that we're going to reframe for ourselves or begin to reframe because like I say all the time, all of these episodes are just the start to this. We're not going to wake up tomorrow and not have a fear of failure. But if we start talking about it and start working on it and reflecting on it, one day we won't have a fear of failure. And that is the goal, right? I think it's obviously something that a lot of people, probably all people, experience at some point, or one way or another in their lives. And I think it's human because it means that you care about the product that you're putting out or the performance that you're putting on or whatever it may be that you're anxious about. But I think it's also something that society has kind of just put onto us because of the definition of success. The societal definition of success is much grander and larger than it needs to be. It's fine that that's the societal definition, but I think we kind of put that on ourselves as everybody needs to have the same definition of success, and that's just not true and unhealthy, honestly, because not everyone has the same resources and circumstances and experiences and lessons and people in their lives to help them get to whatever level of success that people get to. And so we're going to reframe that word as well. a little bit later on in the episode and just kind of redefine what success means to us, because you can be successful if you say you're successful, right? You get to make up your definition of success, and we'll talk more about that, but that is another key piece. I also like to talk about kind of personal reasons for wanting to talk about each episode, and this one makes me think back to like high school days, because I had 2 experiences in high school that really stood out to me, and I actually reflect back on and think about often when I catch myself having a fear of failing or flopping. And the first one was just the first time I even heard about this phrase of having a fear of failure. And it was like middle school, like it was sophomore or junior year of high school. And I was in physics class, and we like had to build some contraption, and you roll it and it does its thing. And if you built it correctly, it'll work. If you didn't build it correctly, it won't work. Right. Everyone knows the concept of physics, right? But so, I was like visibly anxious and nervous that my project, and I'm pretty sure it was a group project, so it wasn't even like all on me if it didn't work, but I was very, very anxious about it not turning out the way it was supposed to. And I remember my teacher saying like, "What are you so nervous about? Like, you're like really worked up." And I'm like, "Well, what if it like doesn't work?" And he's like, "Then you continue to work on it, and your group will fix it, and fix it until it does work." And I was like, okay, like I guess you're right, but like I was just like, maybe I felt embarrassed in front of the whole class if it didn't work or whatever. And he sat me down after and was like, "I don't know if you've heard of having a fear of failure, but I think you have that." And I was like, "I think you're right." And it was really an eye-opening experience just to put a word to or a phrase to the feeling I was feeling, but also kind of getting called out because it was such a visible feeling, kind of was a bit of a wake-up call, and being like, oh wow, like people can see how scared I am to fail right now. Like I don't want to be seen as that, like, and not that that's a bad thing, but like I wanted to seem confident, because I was confident in most areas of my life. And then it's also like healthy to be nervous and anxious about the performance that you are going to do, because it means you care and you want to do a good job. And I cared so much about getting good grades in high school. I thought one bad grade meant I wasn't going to college, or I was never going to get a job. Like I really took it to the extreme when things went wrong, which leads me to my second story from high school is, and most of you know this story, so I will keep it brief, but I like actually failed pre-calculus, the class, and had to retake it at a community college over the summer. Sometimes when I say that, people are like, "Oh, you got a C," and you just like say you failed. Like, no, I did not pass the class. I got like a 40 on the final. I could not tell you a single thing about pre-calc now to this day, but I did go to Delaware County Community College and pass with flying colors. So if that tells you anything, aka it was my high school teacher that was the worst. But yeah, I look back on that experience and realize, at the time I thought the world was ending. It was junior year, so I literally thought I wasn't going to get into any single college I applied to. Mind you, I got into all of them, all like 7 or 8. And then I thought, like, I originally wanted to go to school for math, so that obviously changed my whole trajectory of my plans. And then I completely changed my path when I failed pre-calc first semester of junior year, and I was scheduled to take calc, like real calc, the second semester. And obviously you can't take calc if you can't pass pre-calc, so I had an open spot in my schedule, and that is what got me into broadcast journalism, where I like learned everything about video editing, broadcasting. I became the tech director and ended up doing it for the entirety of my senior year too. And it like that actually, like, talk about the butterfly effect, the trend on TikTok right now, like that is seriously the butterfly effect, because if I had never failed pre-calc, I would have gone on to take calculus, and I probably would have gone to school for math, which is hilarious. And if you know me, I am not good at math. So like even just normal addition. So like it's comical that I thought I was going to go like be a math professor. But I really enjoyed math. Like I liked learning all the things and whatever. But it completely changed the trajectory of my life. And I went to school for communications and film or cinema and media arts. So like completely revamped my life. And now I do like video editing and social media along with all the other things that I do. And I would not have gone down that route if I never failed pre-calc. So I say all that to say that in the moment when something feels like the biggest failure or the end of the world, in just like a year or two, it will actually could potentially be something that, you know, changes your life for the better. And that's like something I look back on often and reflect on. And as much as I want to say like my teacher was the worst and I hated him and he like failed so many people, like he had the worst passing percentage out of any teacher in the high school. It happened for a reason, and I'm like actually eternally grateful that it did, because getting into that broadcast journalism class, like I said, changed my life. So yeah, I share those stories to say like, one, it sometimes takes someone calling you out to be like, oh yeah, I am afraid of this. And then two, it takes having like what feels like a really big failure to then realize like you're strong enough to get through said failure, and you know, it could end up being actually a blessing in disguise. So those are my two little anecdotes to kick us off here. And so I wanted to redefine and reframe what failure means to me, right? I don't even really like using that word. I don't think it accurately describes what is happening when you air quotes fail. I think when you mess up and something doesn't turn out the way it's supposed to, like that's actually such a huge lesson. And sometimes it takes that, like those experiences to happen to be able to grow and actually be successful in the future. So I kind of feel like they're learning opportunities and learning moments, not necessarily failures. I also think like the only way you truly can fail is if you don't ever even attempt or try to do whatever the thing is that you want to do. You know, as Michael Scott quoted Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And, you know, it's true, right? Like if you don't even try, that's the failure, right? That is where you're not even giving yourself the option to succeed. And therefore, that's failing, right? And so that's the only time I will allow myself to like use that language when I'm describing my actions. But if I try something and, you know, maybe it's trying to lift a certain amount of weight or trying to run a certain speed or trying a new like type of food and I just don't like it, like whatever, like anything, like if I try, that is succeeding. And I think you don't know if you'll be good or bad at something until you try it. So like maybe you'll actually be really good at it upon the first time you try, and then you can be like, okay, like yeah, I feel like I am kind of successful at this. Or you're not good at it, and then you have something to work towards and like practice, which that is the fun, right? Like practicing to get better at something, like that is where you have like the funny stories and the experiences, and you get to do it with other people or whatever. Like that is where the fun comes. So like either way, it's a win-win. And I think it's really important to not like call yourself a failure or say I failed when you mess up or don't do something to like the fullest extent or maybe the expectation that you set for yourself, because one, it's negative self-talk, and then your brain's just going to keep hearing that and believe that about yourself, and then you really won't ever be able to, you know, succeed at whatever you're trying to do. But two, it's just like not true, right? Like you tried something, like that is huge. Do you know how many people are afraid to just try something? And so, yeah, I think that like that's a win in and of itself. And I also wanted to mention here in this conversation around reframing failure is the word embarrassment also, I feel like needs a reframe, a redefinition sometimes, because I saw something online a while ago, which I really resonated with, that said like something is only embarrassing if you feel embarrassed. So if you do the work to train yourself to not feel embarrassed when you do something that would typically be embarrassing, say you trip and fall, or you make like a weird noise or whatever, like, and like people giggle. Like, it's, no one can tell you that something is embarrassing. Only you can feel embarrassed. And then they can be like, okay, like they're embarrassed. I'm not explaining this in the way that this TikTok or whatever I saw did, but like, if you don't feel embarrassed, it's not embarrassing. So you have to do the work to not allow yourself to feel embarrassed. For example, we were playing basketball the other day at work and I tripped and fell trying to like get the ball back. And my coworkers were like, oh, that's embarrassing. Like everyone's laughing, whatever. I'm laughing at myself too. Like it was funny. We all tripped, everybody fell, we all went down, whatever. Like it was funny. And however, I wasn't embarrassed. I can find it funny to when humans fall and when they're okay. But I wasn't embarrassed. And one of my coworkers like jokingly was like, oh, that's embarrassing. And I was like, oh, I'm not embarrassed for like putting my effort out there to like try to get the ball back for my teammates. Like that's not embarrassing to me. And he was like, no, you're right. And like that one took a lot of courage to even say out loud, because like most people would be embarrassed in that moment, right? Like, and that's, it's okay if you are, but like doing the work to be like, I'm actually really proud of myself for how hard I tried to do something, whether I succeeded in doing it or not. I'm proud that I even attempted, because I didn't see anybody else laying out for this ball, to try to get the ball back. And so I think it's important to kind of reframe. Are you embarrassed that you didn't maybe do the thing to the expectation that you had set for yourself? Or are you proud of yourself for even trying and attempting and learning something about yourself and realizing, okay, next time I'm going to do this instead, or I realize this doesn't work the way that I thought it would, so let's try doing it this way. Whatever you're learning, no matter what, you're going to be learning something. And so just being like, no, I'm actually not embarrassed that I fell here, or that I made a weird noise with my shoe or whatever. Like, that's not embarrassing to me. So you guys can laugh and think it's embarrassing, but I'm not embarrassed. So, and I think that's kind of goes in with failure, because I think we're scared to fail because we'll be embarrassed if people see us fail, right? And another thing I saw online was like to not be afraid to let people see you trying, like in the trying stage. And I think that's a key piece, and it really resonates with me too, because I was really scared to let people see me trying to like do this exact thing, this podcast or talking online or posting more online or whatever it was. Like it was either I didn't want to do it at all, or I wanted to already have thousands of followers and, people liking my stuff and commenting on my stuff. Like I didn't want to be in the in-between, which by the way, I'm not at that point, but I'm saying my old mindset was like, I either wanted to just have all these followers and like be successful in air quotes, whatever that means. Or I wasn't going to do it at all. And that's like really sad, right? Like something that I genuinely really enjoy doing and wanted to do, I was afraid to do because I thought being in that stage of trying and people seeing me trying to do something or trying, the thought of somebody being like, oh, is she trying to like be an influencer, or is she trying to like do this? And it's like, no, but even if I was, like, you're not trying to, like, you know what I mean? Like, who cares? Like, or whatever you're trying to do, like, I'm not judging you. So like, who cares if that's what I'm trying to do? Like, am I hurting anyone? No. So like, let us be. And so I think it's like important to not be afraid to be seen in that trying stage. If you are an OG Owl's vlog private snap from 2022, you would know that doing this exact thing, talking and sharing my thoughts online, was like my number one goal. And I was too scared to do it. I was too scared to let people see me trying to do it. So I made a private snap in literally like May of 2022. So it was like almost exactly 3 years ago. And I remember on the very first snap, I was like saying how I wanted to share online and I've always wanted to do that. And I really enjoy video editing and whatever. And I like content creation was like a passion of mine. And I wanted to be able to feel confident enough to do it. But I wanted to start with my like safe space first. So I put like maybe 10 people in my private snap and I just yapped to them instead. And they loved it. And it was such a confidence booster. But it still took me 2 years from that point to even make this podcast. Right? Like that is crazy. And like, I wasn't actively doing the work for 2 years to like make this podcast happen or to reframe my fears, but like it took me that long, and I still have moments where I'm like scared to post like clips of me from the podcast like on my Instagram, and it's like, girl, who gives a flying freak what you are doing, right? Like, it's fine. And I say that because like, I don't know, I feel like sometimes I either come across as like really confident and I know what I'm doing, and I mean that in like the least cocky way possible. Like I think I just like sound confident, but I'm faking it until I make it, my friends. Okay, like I'm not out here like getting millions of views and listens on my podcast. Like, this is a passion project, and I'm just doing it because it brings me joy, and the few people that listen, it brings them joy, and that is really it. I know I say that all the time, but like that's truly why I'm doing this. And like, no one has it all together. People that are posting online and getting millions of views and likes and stuff, they don't have it all together either. So like, being afraid to just try to go after your goals is only a disservice to you. No one else is like gaining anything by you not trying, or is missing out on anything by you not trying. Like, no, it's not affecting anybody but you. And it's only affecting you in a negative way because you're not going after something that could potentially bring you a lot of joy, or could potentially change your life, or be a new career opportunity, or whatever it may be, you know? So I'm rambling on about that, but I hope that made sense to you. Like, the reframing the embarrassment and reframing like the word failure and not being afraid to let people see you try. That's the key pieces here. And then I also wanted to briefly talk about the word success and tell you, newsflash, success can be literally whatever you want it to be. Society doesn't want us to think that. They want you to think that you have to make a lot of money and live in a mansion and have a family and 4 kids and do all the things for it to be success. And it's simply just not true. That's not the case. You actually get to make up what success means to you. Before you set a goal or a task or a expectation for yourself, ask yourself, what would it look like if I was successful in this goal, right? Literally write it down. Like, what does success look like for me here? And like, say for this podcast, I made goals for how many episodes I wanted to reach in the year. If I do that, I'm successful, right? I'm not talking about anything that has to do with how many people listen to it, how many views I get, how many comments I get, if I'm making money or not. That's not what this is about. So therefore, that is not how I would define success in this area, right? Like, it's not my career. It's not my full-time job. So if I was putting expectations for it to be, oh, I have to make this much money from the podcast by the end of 2025, that would be crazy, right? That would be so unrealistic. And then I would feel like a failure because that wouldn't happen, right? And yeah, so just setting realistic goals for yourself and expectations, or whatever success means to you, setting that realistic definition of success is really important. And I'm not saying to like put the bar under the ground and, you know, everything you do is successful, but like, you know, you want to still challenge yourself and have goals to achieve and things to look forward to going after, but you get to make up what success means. So when you are making up those things, ask yourself, you know, it can be just trying to do something. It can be trying to do something consistently, whatever consistency means to you, right? And then once you start to grasp whatever task or goal you're trying to achieve, and you get a little bit better at it, you can then raise the bar of what success means. So like this year, maybe my goal for how many episodes I put out is whatever number, and then I achieve that. Then next year, I'm like, okay, I think I could do 5 more episodes than I did last year, or whatever it is, right? You can raise the bar once you have gotten to a spot where you feel like that bar could be raised without it being unrealistic. And that's all in like the reflection. Like, you do something for a year, you do something for 6 months, you do something for a quarter of the year, and then reflect on it. And we talk about this all the time on here, but you guys know what I mean. I know I've talked a lot about reframing and kind of relearning what some of these words mean, but I wanted to give some other tips and tricks and little nuggets of information that I think might be helpful. I would say if you're trying to conquer your fear of failure, first trying something that's not like super, super scary, like not your like worst nightmare of failing. Like maybe it's just like going to a movie alone, or going to a cafe alone, or going to a restaurant alone. Like, and if that is your worst nightmare, don't do that. But for me, that's something that I feel like I could do that like would be kind of nerve-wracking, but I could do it. And then I would be like, okay, cool. Like I can do that. But I just would have to like practice, right? And do it a couple times and get better at it and feel more confident. And once you figure out what that task is, that's like not the super scary task, set a date and a time that you're going to go do that. If it's something that requires a ticket, buy the ticket. If it's something that requires a reservation, make the reservation, even if it's months in advance. Or if it's something that like you just want to do on your own, tell yourself, put it in your calendar, put it in your planner. On this date, I'm doing this by myself, or I'm doing this super scary thing, right? And set a date and a time, because that just adds an extra level of accountability for yourself, especially if you paid for it, or if you made a reservation, or, you know, like you're not going to want to waste whatever money you have already put towards this activity. And then while you're doing the task, continuously reminding yourself to use positive self-talk rather than negative self-talk is huge. So while you're doing this, talk about how proud you are of yourself. Tell yourself that, you know, maybe you're feeling a little anxious, but you'll never see these people again. So if they are judging you in their heads, they'll never see you again. And it actually will bring them bad karma because they're being judgmental. 2, you could also tell yourself a different story of what they're thinking. I've talked about this on here before in the Doing Things Alone episode, but when I went to the Sam Smith concert alone, I literally was like telling myself the whole time, I was like, everyone standing around me thinks I'm so cool for being here alone. I know every single word to every single song. They think I'm just like this cool girl that is like not afraid to do things by herself. Like I was replaying that over and over in my head because I was literally shaking like with anxiety of being alone. And then slowly throughout the night, I was having the time of my life, bopping to Sam Smith. And like, I would have not had that experience if I was too afraid to go alone, right? And, or maybe I got there and I was like, oh, I can't do this, and left. That would have been so sad, right? So telling yourself what you need to hear in that moment and not just giving into the anxiety or the negative thoughts. And I always try to like pretend to be, like I was just talking about, like I'm faking it till I make it, right? I'm pretending to be somebody that is confident in whatever area this is, because if I'm able to pretend to be confident, that means like somewhere deep down in me, I do have that confidence. I just have to pull it out, dig down a little deeper to get it. And that's okay, right? Like faking it till you make it is such a good like brain trick to do when you are feeling nervous or anxious about doing something. So that is another tip that I shared on here before, but is applicable to this topic as well. And yeah, I think those are kind of all my thoughts. I think the fear of failure is like a myth and shouldn't really even exist, because the word failure like shouldn't exist. But I understand society likes to just make everyone feel like shit about themselves. But we're not going to let that happen. We are not going to let that happen. So continue to go after your goals and do things scared, do things afraid, and see what happens. You will literally be fine. Even if someone laughs at you, you will still be okay. You will still survive the day. You will make it through, and maybe you will eventually be really, really good at whatever thing that you thought you were going to be a failure at. So yeah. Also, quickly, we are doing a restock today, a restock segment. And today we're actually restocking the pod merch because I've gotten some more requests on where people can get them. And I want to do another order. So if you're interested in getting your hands on this merch, let me know. Text me as soon as possible, DM me, whatever. I'll probably put in another order like a little bit later this month. So let me know. And yeah, they are really cozy and cute, and you can walk around. I don't know if I've explained the concept on here, but it's a jar. It's like a mason jar, but it's empty. And the label says F's to give. So it's a jar of F's to give, but it's empty because we have ran out. I hope that makes sense. There's like crumbs on the bottom, and there's like a little mini spider web up in the top corner. And then on the side it says 86 F's to give. So yeah, it's an empty jar of F's to give, because we're all out, and that is the whole point here. So yeah, if you want one, let me know. I will be doing another order probably like next week or the week after, for a few more people. So if we can get up to 10 again, it's free shipping for me. So that's awesome. But yeah, if not, that is also totally fine. I want you guys to have them. And yeah, thanks for listening. If no one's told you recently, I love you. I'm proud of you, and you are kicking life's butt. I also just have to share that I got 10 minutes into recording this and my computer decided to update. So we started over, and I just want you to know how dedicated I am to this podcast, that I fully said the first 10 minutes of this episode twice. No, I had to share because I was crying laughing at myself, because I didn't even realize it started over, and then I heard the of like when the Apple computers turn on, and I was like, hello? I thought you were already on. But it's fine. We pushed through, and yeah, we're just really conquering all adversity over here in the 86 F's to Give podcast studio on this morning. So yes, that is all I have for you today. I hope you are having an amazing week and continue to have an amazing weekend, and I will see you all next week. Bye.